Number 13. Geostorm. The powerful force of nature that we have tried to tame is spiraling out of control. In the not-too-distant future, when extreme weather events are becoming a daily occurrence, humans are creating a system of satellites to protect the Earth from climate disasters. But what if our invention, built for protection, turns into an instrument of destruction? Satellites start destroying cities with ice, fire, and hurricanes, as if the Earth itself has decided to take revenge on humanity. The film's protagonist, engineer Jake Lawson, is faced with the nightmarish truth. Someone is using this technology as a weapon, and time is inexorably running out. A desperate struggle begins to stop the oncoming inferno, which threatens to annihilate the entire planet. Faced with chaos and the unimaginable power of nature, Lawson not only has to fight the elements, but also a mysterious enemy. Number 12. Poseidon. In the glare of New Year's fireworks, a luxury cruise liner full of celebrating passengers is transformed into a hell on water. Without warning, a giant wave turns the ship upside down, and the festive atmosphere turns into a panicked fight for life. Locked in claustrophobic interiors, the passengers face a terrifying reality. Their way to the surface leads through dark, flooded corridors, full of traps and deadly dangers. Each step puts them closer to death, while oxygen becomes scarce and water seeps into every space. In this deadly trap, only courage and survival instinct count. Number 11. 2012. Unusual increases in solar activity are rapidly heating the planet's core, leading to a series of uncontrollable catastrophes. While the world continues in blissful unconsciousness, the governments of the major powers are preparing mysterious arks, gigantic structures to house the chosen ones when the inevitable comes. In the midst of this, hell is Jackson Curtis, a writer and divorced father who is suddenly thrown into the vortex of a global catastrophe. He fights against time to save his family, escaping earthquakes that tear cities apart and gigantic waves that engulf continents. As the world's elite take their places on the arks, the rest of humanity is left to the elements. It's a brutal reminder that even in the face of the end, man remains a slave to his selfishness. The catastrophes grow in magnitude, and the world as we know it disappears beneath the waves in fire and ruins. Every minute of the film is a race against fate that terrifies and consumes in equal measure. Number 9. The Day After Tomorrow. Powerful forces of nature are stirring to life, and the world as we know it is falling apart. Unexpected cataclysms are hitting every place on Earth. Hurricanes are destroying cities, tsunamis are engulfing coastlines, and icy windstorms are turning metropolises into freezing graveyards. In the midst of the chaos, climatologist Jack Hall discovers that these are not just random phenomena. This is the beginning of a new ice age. Temperatures are plummeting, and survival is becoming a struggle against time. In the frigid maze of New York's freezing streets, his son Sam and a group of survivors fight for their lives, seeking shelter from the deadly cold. Every breath becomes a challenge, and hope dies with each successive disaster. The world is changed forever, and people face a force they cannot stop. How far can one go to survive when the ground freezes and death lurks in every gust of wind? Number 8. Greenland. In the face of inevitable annihilation, people are beginning to show their true faces. John Garrity, his wife Allison, and their son Nathan are violently torn from their daily lives when a terrifying message spreads around the world. A giant comet is approaching, whose impact will wipe humanity off the face of the Earth. Chaos engulfs all cities, people desperately fight for their lives, and helplessness permeates every soul. John and his family begin a desperate journey through deserted roads and cities filled with fear to reach the only safe place, a shelter in Greenland. Every step is marked by terror and increasing risk, for in a world where chaos reigns, no one is safe, and the will to survive can lead to acts that are chilling. Time is running out, and a comet is inexorably approaching Earth, heralding the apocalypse. Number 7. The Finest Hours. A winter night, treacherous waters of the Atlantic, a storm tearing ships in half. In such conditions, the tanker SS Pendleton is brutally torn apart by the waves. Half of the crew is trapped in the drifting wreckage, struggling against time, darkness, and the icy water that seeps in. Their only hope is a small, 4-man lifeboat that sets out on the most frantic mission in Coast Guard history. Captain Bernard Weber and his crew put everything on the line, plunging into the middle of a devastating storm. Life against the elements, with no guarantee of return. Every wave is a sentence, every decision, a struggle against the inevitable. The terrifying force of nature knows no mercy. Will courage and determination be enough to overcome the invincible? Time is running out, and death is getting closer. Number 6. Unstoppable. A train full of toxic chemicals glides down the tracks like an unstoppable beast, without a driver, without control, and without any mercy. Its steel thunder reverberates through the void, and the train cars filled with the deadly cargo become a threat that cannot be ignored. Each passing kilometer is a ticking bomb, coming closer and closer to the densely populated areas. 2 men, aware of the enormity of the risk, make a dramatic attempt to stop the speeding monstrosity. A race to the limit of human courage begins, where relentless determination faces mechanical power, and one false move can spell disaster on an unprecedented scale. Number 5. Cloverfield. It all starts innocently enough. A big city, a night full of lights, and an amused crowd celebrating in a high-rise apartment. But anxiety creeps in when suddenly the ground begins to tremble, and a terrifying, inhuman roar spreads through the streets. The world as they knew it begins to crumble. Buildings collapse like houses of cards, and residents try to flee in panic. In the darkness of night, a powerful unknown entity ravages everything it encounters in its path, leaving chaos and destruction in its wake. There is nowhere to hide, no safe place to go, and the camera, which coincidentally captures every moment of this horror, shows only fragments of the nightmare the characters are experiencing. In the terrifying excerpts from their escape, the viewer discovers that what lurks in the darkness is more than a simple monster. The mystery grows, and the horror reaches its peak when we realize that the monster is not the only threat. Number 4. Deepwater Horizon. In the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, in the midst of dark waves, an oil rig becomes a trap whose inferno is just beginning to unfold. An unimaginable bang interrupts the monotony of work, and the steel structure begins to tremble as if fighting for survival. A fire breaks out in the blink of an eye, engulfing the platform and turning it into a deadly battlefield against time and the elements. The workers, accustomed to harsh conditions, now face a force beyond them, oil that seems to live and devour everything it encounters. In the suffocating smoke and hot fog, screams echo off the burning walls. No exit is safe, and the crumbling platform threatens to engulf them all. Number 3. Don't look up. The world as we know it is coming to an end, and it all starts with the discovery of 2 astronomers. Their frightening find, a giant comet heading straight for Earth, is a harbinger of inevitable doom. Instead of panic, humanity reacts with disbelief and absurdity. Politicians ignore the warnings, the media turn the tragedy into cheap entertainment, and corporations see the catastrophe only as an opportunity for profit. With each passing moment, the atmosphere becomes more claustrophobic, tensions rise, and the countdown continues. Humanity, blind to the inevitable, is drifting towards self-destruction, unaware that the time for rescue has passed. This is a brutal portrait of a society that condemns itself to perdition in the face of the inevitable end. Number 2. Flight. The Earth is lost behind the windows of the plane when the crew and passengers unexpectedly enter the chaos. A powerful bang, tremors, shrill screams. Every second is a battle against an invisible enemy. Captain Whip Whitaker, an experienced pilot, takes control of the situation, accomplishing the impossible. The plane, which seems doomed to crash, makes an emergency landing against all laws of physics. But this is not the end of the story. Amid the smoke and wreckage, a horrifying truth begins to come to light. The hero everyone praises hides a secret that could change everything. A masterful rescue attempt becomes the beginning of a spiral of lies, a struggle with one's own demons, and a dramatic question about the limits of human responsibility. Number 1. Chernobyl. In the chilling atmosphere of the Soviet Empire of 1986, an unimaginable tragedy occurs. An explosion at a nuclear power plant that changes the course of history and casts a shadow over the lives of millions. The series begins with an innocent night that turns into a nightmare as people in the immediate vicinity wake up to the flames of unseen death. Radioactive clouds spread, and the authorities try to cover up the scale of the disaster, sacrificing the health and lives of ordinary citizens to the propaganda illusion. The heroes, from scientists to workers, must face a powerful enemy that cannot be seen with the naked eye: deadly radiation. Every decision here has a price: pain, suffering, and death. This is a story of human courage and fear, betrayal and desperate attempts to save the world from an annihilation that still echoes in humanity's memory.